Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first meeting of the newly elected Georges River Council. Tonight it is my duty under the Local Government Act and Regulation to administer the oath or affirmation of office to each councillor and to oversee the election of the first Mayor of Georges River Council. Before I officially open the meeting, on behalf of the executive team and all of the staff from Georges River Council, I wish to thank the former Administrator, Mr John Rainder, for his significant contribution to the establishment of the new council over the last 16 months. I will now formally open the meeting at 6:02 p.m. Acknowledgement of country. Georges River Council acknowledges and pays respects to the traditional custodians of the land on which this meeting is being held, the Bidjigal people. Notice of webcasting. Staff and the public are reminded that this meeting is being recorded on audio tape for minute-taking purposes, and the meeting is also being webcast through Council's website in accordance with Section 8 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Apologies. I've received no apologies. We have all 15 councillors here. Do I have any disclosures of interest from any councillors? Yep, thank you. The first item on the agenda tonight is report CCL 212-17, oath or affirmation of office by councillors. Councillors, can I have a mover and a seconder? Someone please move the recommendation. Moved Con Hindi, seconded Councillor Castanis. Can we vote, please? Show of hands, please, councillors. Unanimous, thank you. The councillors have voted to take the oath or affirmation of office, so we will proceed to now administer the oath or the affirmation one at a time, starting with Councillor Leisha Payer. Would you please stand, Leisha? I believe you have it in front of you.
It's okay, go ahead. I, Leisha Payer, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you. Please sign. Councillor Sandy Grekus.
I, Sandy Grekus, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you. Councillor Kevin Green.
I, Kevin Patrick Green, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Colleen Symington.
I, Colleen Fay Symington, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretion functions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Nick Catras.
I, Nikitas Katras, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions and powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment. Thank you.
Councillor Catherine Lansbury.
I, Catherine Lansbury, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Warren Tegg.
I, Warren Joseph Tegg, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 and or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Vince Badalati.
I, Vincenzo Pietro Badalati, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Lou Konjarski.
I, Lubcha Konjarski, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Nancy Liu.
I, Nancy Liu, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Konhindi.
I, Constantine Hindi, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act of 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Stephen Aegis.
I, Stephen Charles Aegis, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Christina Wu.
I, Christina Wu, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities, and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Sam Elmy.
I, Sammy Elmy, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Rita Castanis.
I, Rita Castanis, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Georges River Local Government Area and the Georges River Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 and any other act to the best of my ability.
Thank you, councillors. We now move to the next item on the agenda, which is report number CCL 213-17, election of the Mayor. Councillors, you have a recommendation in front of you. Do I have a mover?
Could I move the recommendation, but sorry, with all due respect to Kevin, I move the recommendation with an amendment, and the recommendation is that the council adopt Part A. The amendment is to be that the council adopt the method of open voting by show of hands for the election of Mayor, and Part B, that the General Manager, as indicated in the report, that the General Manager as returning officer undertake the election of Mayor for the ensuing 2-year period by announcing the nominations and then conducting an election. That Part C, that the letters be forwarded to the Office of Local Government and the CEO advising the appointment of Mayor. Madam Chair, I reserve my option to speak depending on what happens around this issue.
a motion from Councillor Catras, seconded by Councillor Grekus. Any speakers for or against? No, we'll put that to the vote. Councillor Catras, for the gallery, Councillor Catras has moved that an open vote be made, which is a show of hands. So councillors will be asked to show their hands when they elect the mayor. I'll put that. All those in favour? Declare it carried unanimously. Members of the public, I have been elected as the returning officer pursuant to Schedule 7 of the Local Government Regulation, which means that I will now be conducting the election for the mayor. At this point in time, I have 2 nominations. The first nomination for the office of mayor comes from Councillor Green. The nomination has been made by Councillor Tegg and seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Councillor Green, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Thank you. The second nomination I have for the office of mayor is for Councillor Hindi. The nomination has been made by Councillor Aegis and seconded by Councillor Castanis. Councillor Hindi, do you accept the nomination?
Madam General Manager, whilst I'm honoured that my Liberal colleagues have chosen to support my nomination for the position of Mayor, I cannot accept the nomination. This withdrawal may come as a surprise to some of you, but Georges River is about to embark on a new journey with its first democratically elected council. Not many cities get the opportunity to embrace a fresh start, and Georges River Council will need a strong and united team of councillors working together over the next 3 years to achieve its full potential for the community. We are at a significant juncture in the history of the council, and as such, a significant gesture needs to be made. I'm happy to make that gesture, but also it is important that each councillor here tonight put their full support behind Councillor Green to lead this council. Madam General Manager, I hereby withdraw my nomination and request that you declare Councillor Green elected unopposed as the first Mayor of Georges River Council.
Thank you, Councillor Hindi. Are there any other nominations from the floor for the office of Mayor? No, then I declare Councillor Kevin Green elected as the first Mayor of Georges River Council. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Mayor has requested that I now conduct the election of the Deputy Mayor, so I take everyone to item CCL 214-17. There is a recommendation in front of you, councillors. Councillor Catras.
Thank you. I move the recommendation again with an amendment that Council adopt the method of open voting by a show of hands for the election of Deputy Mayor. Part B is also amended, Madam Chair, that the General Manager as returning officer undertake the election of Deputy Mayor for the ensuing 1 year period only, by announcing the nominations and then conducting the election, and C, that letters be forwarded to the Office of Local Government and the CEO of the Local Government of New South Wales advising the appointment of Deputy Mayor. And Madam Chair, I reserve my right to speak depending on what actually happens around this table.
I'll second that.
Councillor Aegis, seconder. Thank you. Do we have any councillors who wish to speak for or against the motion? Just so the public is aware, we have a recommendation, motion from Councillor Catras that the method of voting for the Deputy Mayor be by open voting by a show of hands. We have no speakers for or against, so I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? carried unanimously. Mr Mayor, I'll now conduct the election for the Deputy Mayor for a period of 1 year. I have received 2 nominations. The first nomination is for Councillor Lansbury. She has been nominated by Councillor Tegg and seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor Lansbury, do you accept the nomination? You do. Councillors, the second nomination I have for the office of Deputy Mayor is for Councillor Castanis, nominated by Councillor Hindi and seconded by Councillor Aegis. Councillor Castanis, do you accept the nomination? Councillors, I'll call for any other nominations. Do we have any other nominations from the floor? No. The Council has determined that the method of voting will be by a show of hands. So I'll now undertake the election. All those in favour of Councillor Lansbury, please raise your hands. All those in favour of Councillor Castanis? Councillor Lansbury, congratulations, you've been elected as Deputy Mayor. Mr Mayor, I'll now hand over to you to do item CCL 215-17, the schedule of council and standing committee meetings. The staff have prepared a recommendation for your consideration.
I've got my light on first. Well, I had it on first. Had my light on first. On first.
I'll referee that in a minute because I want to say something before.
Sorry, yeah, you go. You shouldn't take that away from me.
It's always good to speak before you get to referee. Firstly, I'd just like to take this opportunity to congratulate all councillors on their election as representatives of the community of the Georges River area and on their individual selection and as ward representatives. I'd also like to thank the councillors for their support in electing me to the esteemed position of Mayor of this magnificent area. And I sincerely thank each and every one of you for your support, and we look forward to working together. I also take this opportunity on behalf of the community to thank Mr John Rayner, PSM, for the work that he has undertaken in the last 15 months as the administrator of the newly formed Georges River Council. And in that regard, in congratulating John, who's obviously a highly regarded local government administrator as someone who's worked in local government for many decades, congratulating on his work, I'd also congratulate the staff who have done so much to bring the 2 previous councils of Hurstville and Cogra together and ensure that it's worked so successfully. To Gail and her team, I please pass on my sincere congratulations in that regard. The next thing I'd like to say is a touch more personal, in that I was sitting in that chair over there once Councillor Hindi made his announcement, and I thank him for that. I was thinking that I'm probably going to have to say something, and what would I say? And the thought that came to me was that in 1966, the first time that I actually was in, not quite this building, but in the Marana Hall, when I was a Year 2 student, and those mathematicians at the back will be able to work out therefore how very old I am these days. But I was there for the St Declan's Penshurst Ball. Most of the people here wouldn't even know what the school ball was about, but that was an opportunity the whole school community came together. And the reason I reflect on that is because the local government area provides so many diverse services to our community, whether it's facilities such as that, or whether it's the library that sits in the street behind us, or whether it's all the other, as I say, diverse services that mean so much to ensure the good life of each person in our community. And we have been duly elected and are now responsible for ensuring that those services are maintained. But most importantly, we also have a responsibility to that community to ensure the good name of the area in which they live. And that in itself is a major responsibility. So I am indeed indebted to each of you for the opportunity to lead this council. I'm sure we can work well with the staff to ensure those responsibilities are fulfilled. And the last thing I'll say is this. There's a saying that goes, behind every good man there's a better woman. Well, I'm not so sure that I'm a good man, but I'm certainly married to a much better woman. Thank you. Okay, with that we move to the schedule of council meetings and standing orders. Councillor Katras.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr Chair. I'd like to move the recommendation, Mr Chair, that the council resolve to hold ordinary meetings of council in the 4th week of the month on a Monday, commencing at 7 p.m. That be, that the council resolve to hold standing committee meetings in the 2nd week of the month on the commensurate day of the week to ordinary meetings of council, with 2 committee meetings commencing at 6 p.m. and 2 meetings commencing at 7 p.m, that the adopted schedule of council and standing committee commences from October 2017. I will talk to this, Mr Chair, and my
Needs a second, first of all.
Second, fine.
Is there a
Thank you,
seconder?
Con. I really appreciate your advice.
Sorry,
now,
could I just need a seconder first. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Lansbury.
Mr Mayor, I thought long and hard about this, and I've spoken to a number of my colleagues, and I've also spoken to some of the colleagues on the other side of the fence, if you'd like to call it that. To me, Monday is the perfect day to hold council meetings. The reason behind that is that most of us will get our business papers on, let's say, I think it's a Wednesday or a Thursday. We then have both Saturday and Sunday to read our business papers, and most of us, many of us, will actually read our business papers on Sunday afternoon, and we also make up our minds of what we're going to say on this council and which way we're going to go with various options that we may have depending on the matters that are on the agenda. Having said all that, I think it's also very important to keep a fresh mind and to also be able to recall what you read over the weekend, and having it on a Monday means that you can recall it almost straight away. Having it on a Tuesday, I think, or a Wednesday, actually causes a lot of grief to some people, because the Tuesday and the Wednesday means that you actually have to brush up on your knowledge, and also go back to your business papers and even brush up on what you read on the Sunday or over the weekend. For 22 years when I was on Kogarah City Council, that's what happened, that's what we did, and it worked really well. But can I say also that it wasn't just Kogarah City Council, but the administrator on this Georges River Council, chose Monday nights for the actual regular council meetings to occur. And there's a good reason behind that. It is a much better option than midweek. And some of us are in business, or some of us have got, have got full-time jobs. And really, those sort of things and the jobs that and the responsibilities we have with those type of situation means that we are so absorbed by what we do during the week that we might find that they will interfere with our thought process, interfere with our memories, and we do have to go back over the papers. So, councillors, what I'm proposing to you is, please, if you can, support my amendment, because I think it's the appropriate amendment for this situation, for this new council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Katras. Does the seconder wish to speak to the motion? Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Hindi.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and congratulations on your election tonight. I do understand where Councillor Katras is coming from, and he's used to the Mondays from the old Kogarah Council, and we're used to the Wednesdays from the Hurstville Council. So maybe it's best to say, we're not taking over, you're not taking over. I'm going to propose an amendment that will be exactly as it is, but except on a Tuesday rather than a Monday. So that's my foreshadowed motion. If this one goes down, my foreshadowed motion will be for Tuesday. If this is approved, well, then it's Monday. So I'm foreshadowing a motion, Mr Mayor, for a Tuesday, so people know. Identical, except it's a Tuesday, and subsequent Tuesday.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So substituting the word Monday for Tuesday, but that's a foreshadowed motion, not an amended motion. Are there any others? Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. Is there are there any other speakers for or against the original motion? If there are no other speakers, you do have a right of reply. You do have a right of reply.
I appreciate that. Look, can I just say one thing? In this case, and I'm only putting to you as councillors, it's not a matter of a compromise between the old Cogra Council and the old Hurstville Council. We're not talking about compromise here. We're actually talking about what's practical, what's appropriate, and what would help the councillors do their job properly. I mean, you know, yeah, there are situations that were good on Cogra, there were situations that were bad on Hurstville, or good on Hurstville at times. But I will say one thing, and that is, what is practical, what is good, what is appropriate is that you get the meeting over and done with on the Monday after you've had time to actually read your business papers and there's no gap in between. The other thing that you've also got to consider, which just comes to mind now, is the fact that, hey, Monday night, there are certain resolutions that are taken by council, there are certain actions that have to be taken by council, and you might start thinking about, well, I've got to get some more research done on this, I've got to get more information on this. You've got, and if it's going to come up again in 2 weeks' time, you've got from that Monday night and a full 2 weeks before it comes forward to a working party or a committee that we have. Councillors, I think I'm not doing it as a compromise between Hurstville and Cogra, or I'm not supporting a Cogra situation. What I'm supporting is something that's practical and appropriate. Tuesday, I think, would be the worst day. Thank you.
Right, we had the right of reply, therefore I'll now put the motion. The motion is, as detailed on the screen. I won't reread it, but it's basically you're voting for or against a Monday night for meetings. Those in favour of the motion, please raise your right hand. I have 6. Those against? Oh, sorry, I'll start that again. Oh, so we'll start again. Those in favour of the motion, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'll support that. Will make 8. So I'll declare that carried, unless my maths is poor. As there are no other items on the business paper, I'll declare the meeting closed and thank councillors for attendance and advise that the next scheduled meeting of council is in fact the Wednesday the 4th of October. Declare the meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance and thanks to those in the gallery for your attendance as well.